So we've talked about resources, but now we've got this thing called a technology stack. How do you maintain your technology stack in terms of your licensing investment, the next new shiny instrument against your internal and external resource balance? How do you manage all of that in this world of being in an interesting environment?
Yeah, I don't know about you, Ann, but that's actually the hardest part,
That's
right?
hard.
That's the hardest part because you're looking at operational efficiencies and everything when you think about that is automation and how do you continue to leverage what you have, which might require buying new tools, but you also have your wonderful sales leaders and sales teams who might have a little extra time in their hand, who might be getting introduced to all their new shiny objects, right? So trying to sort of balance that is incredibly fun, challenging, and a little bit stressful at the same time. So I would say for me, it just goes back to prioritization. What are we trying to accomplish in the next 3 to 6 months, right? And reiterating that in every conversation we have. And how does that prioritization fit into our tech stack? How do I limit technical debt so that when I come out of this, I'm not worse off than when we got into this time period? And then, maybe putting off some of those shiny new objects, really digging in and figuring out what tools do we already have in-house that's going to solve the business problem that's being presented to us. And I think that's super important for everybody on this call as operational leaders is everybody wants something new. This one tool is going to do this one process super, super well. That's great. But if we have a tool that solves 80% of the problem and we've already made the investment and there are things that we can do to maybe bridge the gap between 80 and 20% or 80 to 100%. Dig into that because you've already done the implementation. You already have it installed. You already have some of that change management already accomplished for that. That will make the adoption and the rollout of that problem a lot easier. But always tie it back to the business problem. Always tie it back to what your strategy is as a company for the next 3 to 6 months. And then from there, that will help you either make the right technical decision or, push back a little bit.
Yeah. And I think such good comments. And, it relates back to some of the earlier discussion around when I was saying, hey, we bought this tool, then we bought this tool, then we bought this tool. Now I've got people swiveling to different places. And so, on the one hand, the example before of, okay, can we, pick a direction and sort of consolidate a bit, even if you consolidate a little bit over time, totally fine. But you're starting to pick a direction and saying, okay, we're going to drive efficiencies. We're going to think about a more thoughtful integration or platform, et cetera. So that's certainly one part of it. But I think the other part, and I was smiling as Lisa was kind of going through some examples, is it's also been a very good time for us, and you all, maybe in a similar position where it's also kind of a time to be a bit ruthless of your stack and what's in there. And I really like Lisa's example of, listen, if it solves 70%, 80%, 85%, we may not need 5 or 6 tools that do directionally the same thing. Now, people have their preferences. Hey, I really like this one. It has the best information. It enriches the best, or it does X or Y. You gain efficiencies by getting people very, very, very good at the tools that they have, whether it's workflow, whether it's information, whatever it's designed to do to help their business. You gain so much efficiency and productivity by getting folks very, very good at the tool stack that you have, rather than, well, hey, just in case you can't find it here, let's give you another one here. Let's give you another one here. Let's give you another one here. And it also gets hard for us too, as operations leaders, because that is what turns or can turn your CRM into a little bit of, like Lisa said, technical debt, Frankenstein, et cetera. And so what we've tried to do in a similar way to Lisa's comments is it's always about prioritization. So you're linking it back. Efficiencies are the name of the game, which is always the case for all of us. But like we said before, this is a very, very, very good moment to just get in there and say, we are all about efficiencies, and then just be ruthless. Something's coming up. I can say right now, I've got a tool coming up for renewal in a month, and see ya, right? Out of the stack that we have, you're the least used. You've got some favorites and some some fans, but again, we're just going to help people use the stack that we have. And again, that's driving efficiencies, both in people's workflow and their process, but also it's budget that you're putting back into the coffers, which is also good.
Yeah, and keep it back to its productivity, right? The more swivel
Totally.
chairs you have your reps going to, oh, go to this tool for this part, and then swivel over here to go to this tool for the next. That's time wasted that they could be on the phone, that they could be following up on a sales deal, that they could be in a meeting, right?
Yeah.
So you need to really focus on, and like Ann said, be ruthless about what your technical stack looks like right now, for the next, period of time.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. I think there's some winning terms I want to highlight here. It's definitely an opportunity cost, but I think I'm kind of going back to my business school days when I didn't get it, but I think this was a clear example. When you start thinking about economies of scope and economies of scale, right? If you have a tool that can cover 80% of your business function, that's significant. So focusing on that 80% and the value that you can get is absolutely critical.